Hi, I am Apostle Dr. Stinson, your host for Women on the Frontline International Fellowship Live TV show, hosted by Christ Family Network. Listen, if you want to connect with us at www.christfamilynetwork.com. Also, my website is Sonia Stinson Ministries .com. I am so delighted to be back in your homes, on your mobile devices, wherever you tune into us. It has been almost 6 years. I cannot believe that we have been doing this show, and God is definitely expanding my territories. He's doing some awesome things, and 2019 is going to be the new birthing of so many things.
Yes.
I am excited about what He's doing. I know that it is God because, when you sit and wait on God's timing, you know that God is in control. So today I'm back in the studios with Renee Williams, and she is the author of Through Pain to Purpose. And as you know, last couple of weeks we've been talking to her about abuse and the abusive relationship she was in. And we stopped a little bit because we ran out of time. But today I decided to bring her back. And so I want to reintroduce you to Renee Williams, author, preacher, teacher, entrepreneur, just so many titles. Renee, welcome back. Thank you for coming back into the studios with us.
And thank you, Dr. Stinson, for inviting us.
You have
Glad
such
to
a
be here.
compelling and an awesome story. We could not get it all in one tape, and probably we can't get it all in this
Probably
one
not.
tape. But
Probably
we're going to
not.
have to have you back the first of the year as we begin to talk
God,
about
right.
abuse. But intriguing today is we're going to talk today about your book, which came out of your pain,
Yes, it
out
did.
of your abusive relationship, out of your rejection.
Yes, it did.
And one of the purposes you wrote this book was to help people to heal.
Exactly.
And so as I looked at the book and read the book, one of the most intriguing chapters to me is you said the author's exhortation is to reuniting in rejection. And you say in your book, you say, the fact is that we must create our own acceptance. We're
Exactly.
talking about Through Pain, Through Purpose, written by author Renee Williams. Talk about this book and what compelled you to write this book and some of the favorite chapters. But I want to talk first about that one excerpt that I read, which when I just opened the book, that was reuniting and rejection.
Yes.
What do you mean about that?
Well, one thing about that is that when you grow up being rejected and
Is
abandoned.
rejection a real part of abuse?
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. It is very much a part of abuse.
Does it stay with you through a lifetime?
Oh, yes, it
Do
does.
you struggle with that?
You struggle with that. I had struggles with that. I still sometimes have struggles with that. But then, oh, yes,
so
I
it's
do.
not always
But
over.
oh no, oh no, and even the feelings and everything that you got from being rejected or abused, that stays with you too. You just learn to grow from it. It doesn't take part. It doesn't take you over. You take your part. You don't throw your pain away. You don't throw
Stop
those.
right there. You don't throw your pain
No,
away.
you don't throw it away.
Okay.
You need it.
Speak
So,
to that.
all right, you don't throw your pain away because that pain is what's going to connect you to that next person that's going. See, they know. That's why I say it's one thing to tell somebody, I know what you've been through, Renee. But it's another thing when you have gone through that thing and now you are able to connect with somebody. Yeah, I was rejected by my mother. I was rejected. I was abused by my husband. I was rejected. But I learned that in my rejection and through my abandonment, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because I used those painful moments to work on myself and for God to find me and change me and let me know it doesn't matter what I've been through. It doesn't matter what happened to me as a child. I had to forgive. I had to forgive my uncle. I had to forgive my mother.
You had to forgive.
Oh, I
Right
had
there.
to.
You had
I
to
didn't
forgive.
do it overnight.
Wait a minute.
but
Now,
I
let's
had
stop.
to.
Before we left here a couple of weeks ago, you talked about that first husband.
Husband being gay. Did you forgive him?
Yes, I did. I had to forgive him. It took time, Dr. Sin.
I
It was
believe that.
not overnight because remember, I had 4 children and every one of them looked just like him. And all of them are named after him. So I had a constant reminder. There was no child support. There were no Christmas gifts for the children. There was no birthday gifts. There was no graduation, come to their graduation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to ask God to help me to forgive him. It didn't happen overnight. But then I realized, I said, wait a minute. With everything that I went through with him, I am so glad that I went through everything that I went through, because when God brought me out, even before I got into my next marriage, I got in a relationship with God. And I found out who God was. See, when I married him, I was a young girl. I didn't know who Jesus really was. I didn't know how he could fix my heart in the midnight hour. I didn't know that he could be a baby's daddy. I didn't know he could make folks buy you cars. He could give you a Section 8 home, $5. I didn't know God.
And so in your book, you talk about that reuniting and rejection. And one of the excerpts that I just pulled out is, the fact is that we create our own acceptance by defining to accept it, to receive with approval, favor, warmth, and affirmation. We must accept ourselves regardless of what others may feel or think or say
about us. When we accept and love ourselves,
Exactly.
we invite others to accept and love us.
Exactly.
Let's talk about that one phase.
Yeah.
And because you're talking about reigniting rejection. So you accept the fact, okay.
And I also, I think you mean,
I've been rejected.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna stay like this.
Right.
Okay.
Oh no.
Talk about it.
And then and I'm sure you mean reigning in rejection.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Raining.
That's okay.
I'm looking at it. Raining.
It don't matter. I know what you mean. And one thing about reigning in rejection, you can reign in your rejection. With everything that you have gone through, it's just like going to school. You learn. Just like my mother didn't want me, she didn't love me. I took that same information, but I turned it around. And I made sure my children knew I loved them.
Yeah, let me correct that. It's raining.
That's
I'm looking
okay.
at it back.
That's okay.
Raining and rejection.
Right.
Correct.
And then I found out that, but I'm gonna tell you, it was really God that helped me to get to that place, because he told me that I was wonderful and fearfully made. He told me that I was the apple of his eye. See, things that I didn't know, God had to grow me up to help me to realize that the things that I went through, it wasn't even about me, Dr. Stinson. Everything that I went through in life was to help somebody else.
But you say in your book, the power and self-acceptance is that it gives us
the ability to reign in our own rejection.
Yes.
And so as you went through rejection, how do we take control and exercise, therefore, authority over a situation when we've been through rejection so much and so many parts of our life that half of our life we've been rejected. And what do we tell someone? I have a relative right now that's seeking and looking for the father love, but the father's not there. What do I tell that little girl? How do you take that rejection and turn it into a positive? That's what I get from here.
How do you do that?
Well, I can speak for myself. The way that I did that, once again, I did not do it by myself. I did not even have the understanding of really what rejection and all that was when I was coming up. But as I grew up in God and I found out that God let me know that even though I had been through all of that stuff, I am still a survivor. God let me know that even though the rough stuff that should have took me out, he had a purpose for my life. So even though I grew up with rejection and abandonment, I chose to love. I choose to love. My mother didn't love me, but I choose to love her.
You say nice mommy.
Yeah.
What does that mean in this book?
I said that to be sarcastic, but in my mind, now remember I'm telling this from when I was a child. I would psych myself out at night. I would get in the window and look out the window, and I would psych myself out. and I would say, nice mommy. And I would say, my mommy loves me. I would take my dolls and act like I was playing in my mother's hair, even though I knew I couldn't touch my mother. She didn't play that. And so I said that, so when the reader reads that and grabs that, they're going to know once they get in, right at the beginning of the story, you're going to see that in that word, nice, mommy, it wasn't the nice that you're talking about.
Okay.
It is something that you wouldn't even imagine that a child went through that's in that book. And I wrote that book because I wanted to minister to other children because our children are hurting. Our children are going through. I've never seen so much going on in the world like it is in this 21st century. Kids killing, violence, schools blowing, I mean just all types of things. But the biggest thing is abuse, and so that's where I come in at. Even in going through the foster homes, and I would say that I didn't get the love that I wanted to get, but as I grew in God and God began to show me through His Word and to minister to me through His Word, I found out that I wasn't bad. I wasn't that bad girl like they said.
Why were you mad at God?
How could?
You write in your book,
Yeah, I'm finna tell you.
God, I'm mad at you. Is that okay? Does that happen today to our children?
Yes, it does.
God, I'm mad with you.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I woke up one day and I said to myself, why was I ever born? You know, the God that people talk about, supposed to be a God of love, a God of happiness. I grew up all my life as a child with sadness, rejection, happiness. I didn't see nothing about love. My mother didn't go to church.
So you didn't see God.
I didn't see no God. And then I got into church and I began to know a little about God. And then I married this man, and this man ended up leaving me for the gay lifestyle. And I'm like, why was I born? What was my purpose? See, I still didn't know my purpose.
When you wrote that, God
no,
mad with you.
I didn't know my purpose at 21. I knew my purpose when I wrote the book. But at 21, I didn't know my purpose. I was in church, but was I really in church?
Were you really in church?
You know, you got folks that are in church, Dr. Stinson.
Do we have them today?
Yeah, but if they, you know what I tell them? I said, people are in the building, but they're not in the body of Christ.
Wow.
I don't want to be in the building. I want to be in a body, in a body of Christ. I want to be able to preach, teach, encourage, whatever it takes to be able to help somebody. I'm very passionate. I love women. I love women. I love doing women's seminars. I love talking to our youth. I like to, I'm going to tell you the truth. I like talking to women that are hurting because I can relate to them. I can get right down where they are. And even just going through divorce. People never talk about that.
No,
but they say the grief level for divorce is worse than the death of a loved one, losing a loved one.
It is.
So,
it is, Renee.
I'm able to talk about divorce. I know where they are. Young women that come behind me that's going through divorce. I know the stages. I know what they feel. I know what they've been through. I know what it is to be a single parent. I know all those feelings, but I also know God. And it was Him that brought me through all of that stuff. And in bringing me through that stuff, I was able, I said, I'm going to write this book now. I got over the fear. I'm not going to worry about, because see, everybody is still alive. That's why I changed the name of the case. Everybody's still alive except my mother. Everybody is still alive. And so I was worried about what my family would say. I was worried about what the church people would say, because I testify. I've always, matter of fact, I'm a praise leader. I've been leading praise over 40 years at our church. That's my top praise leader, my sister. But, and I praised my way through everything. We praised our way through the tears. When we didn't know what our husbands was, I learned how to praise Him. And so when I wrote the book, I finally got to the place. I said, I'm not going to worry about what the church people say.
You have to get, let all
I
that
had
go.
to get, I had to get back.
Yeah, that's rejection too. Because sometimes we worry about, if I write this
I didn't want
book,
nobody to.
right. Well, my book,
Some of it,
Hidden
they
Impact
didn't know.
Unveiled for
Right.
Kingdom Purpose, which is also on Amazon.
Okay.
My book, you know, also there's a lot of personal things that I
Yes.
share that people would not know. And I had to
Exactly.
hold back some of it.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not gonna tell everybody.
That's right. I didn't tell
because
everything either.
Some things you just
can't
people
say.
just not
ready
Right.
for it.
Right.
But then you go on in this book and say, hey, Renee.
Yes.
What does Renee do now?
Who Renee tells everything as much as she possibly could to not just. I wanted it for the church to read it, but I also wanted it where the world could receive it. And I'm telling you, God has blessed that book, because most people that have gotten that book, they could not put the book down. The first chapter is so captivating, which I meant for it to do that, because I wanted to take them through. See, I didn't get to the purpose till the end of the book.
I see.
But I wanted them to see my painful moments, my painful thing, because sometimes even in the church, you in pain, but don't nobody know. And you're hiding it. Now it's all out in the open. I had my first book signing November 2016. Church was packed. And I've been to so many books that I've sold over 3,000 copies.
Wow.
I've been on, as I said earlier, over 18 radio stations all over the world. My book, April the 20th, 17 was placed inside of Dr. Jerry Falwell Library. It is there now. I'm in the colleges, and I'm telling everybody about the pain through my purpose.
Wow.
And I'm there talking to them. And I tell you, this last, I was at Triton in October, and I ran across something that I never ran across, Dr. Stinson. I always meet people, men and women, that have been sexually abused. But when I went this last time and we began to talk about the book, there was one gentleman, he was about maybe 60 years old.
Wow.
As we were talking about the book and I'm asking him questions and things, he was holding his head. And you could tell he had a problem. Everybody else asking questions, he is off to the side. And so I began to pray, and I picked up, he's a perpetrator. And so he ended up asking the instructor, and he told me, he said, I don't mean any harm. It don't have anything to do with you. He said, why are we reading this book? It's a curriculum there. They're reading curriculum. He even told us to teach why we have to read it, why we have to get into it, and hear all that stuff. And we picked up right there that he is a perpetrator that have done some of these things. And so when you read about all the abuse that's in the book, he was holding his head. He did not. So that was new for me. But I know that wherever I go, wherever group I'm at, prayer breakfast, you got perpetrators and you got victims sitting there. And it is still, I still got one goal in mind, and that is to minister and to give information and to let them know, don't matter what you've gone through, tell somebody.
So you have
A lot of favorite chapters in this book. And,
I
and
do.
I
I
wish
wish we just had time, but
I know.
why life gives us the key. And here's what you say.
Yeah.
The key to life is to learn and grow from our experiences.
Yes.
Whether they be of trials or triumphs.
Right.
We must learn to speak up and to speak out.
Right.
We must do more than learn the lessons housed within our experiences. But, and I'm paraphrasing, we must be willing to use that acquired knowledge that as a key to not only free our own minds. I have my glasses on.
That's okay.
But to help others as well.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about that paragraph.
Talking about the key. Well, that key, you have to take the information and the things that life has thrown at you. You have to take it and turn it around and to make it into some positive, because everything that we go through, Dr. Stinson, in life is not about us. It's about helping, freeing, delivering somebody else that don't have the strength to tell off on the perpetrator, or don't have the strength to tell that child that may not tell her mother, or you're scared, or you're living in fear, or somebody has threatened you. The key will help you to learn how to use what you've been given, what has happened to you, and turn it around for something good and say, I'm not just going to keep this my abuse to myself, but I'm going to go out and help somebody else.
And so, right behind this chapter called The Key, you said, Mommy, I don't want to go to grandma's
house this summer.
Oh, no.
Can I stay home with you? Slap. Let's talk about the slap. Several chapters in here you got about slap.
Oh, yeah.
So you were slapped a lot.
I was slapped. I was beat with skillets. I was hit with pots. I was hit with hose pipes. I didn't want to go to the grandmother house because that's where the main abuse was.
Wow.
That my uncles with the key locking the door when you read it and everything, locking the door and locking.
I want to share with the audience. I mean, so it was the relatives.
Yes.
Because we haven't touched on that.
Right.
It was the relatives that really we can be in a relative while some of our children
don't want to go to grandma, don't want to go to aunties.
Right. Exactly.
Because we believe that's a safe place.
But it's
that
not.
may be where the abuse is.
It's
Okay.
not.
So let's talk about that.
Right, and that's what I said earlier on the other segment. A lot of times we think that it's the neighbor next door or somebody from the neighborhood or from the church. A lot of times, statistics say it's in our family. It's our relatives that's mostly doing the sexual abuse, molestation, all of that that's going on. That's why it's not even good to send your children here, there. Children should be at home with their parents.
Oh, wow. Talk about that.
Oh, yeah, my children, I'll speak for my children. I had 5 children. I still got 5 beautiful children. But when they were coming up, they couldn't go spend the night here, there. No, when I laid down, they laid down. I tell you, one thing I told the Lord, I said, Lord, I never wanted my children to ever be abused. And now, they're going to be 36, 35, 34, 30, and 22. Just for that alone, they have never been abused, never been violated, and they know mommy loved them out of this world. Do you hear me?
We are talking about this book that's written by Renee Williams, and it's through Purpose Through Pain.
Yeah.
And this book is in colleges. She teaches all over.
Yes.
It is sold well over 3,000 copies.
Yes.
She is available for conferences or just to speak to someone that's abused. It's on Amazon, both in paperback and ebook and Kindle. You can get this book. I am encouraging you that if you know anybody in abuse, give them this book. And then get in touch with Renee. Well, she's going to give you her information shortly. Let's talk about your kids. How did you explain your abuse to your kids?
Well, I can tell you about the book.
Okay.
I can tell you about the book. Some of them, they wasn't too happy because I talked about their dad. I got a couple chapters in there I talked about their dad. But I wanted them to know what had happened to me. And I wanted them to know that abuse is real.
And you wanted them to know that so that they could avoid it?
Oh, yeah, so they could avoid it. And I wanted them to know that if you recognize it, even with some of your friends, some of your classmates, encourage them to tell somebody. Talk to, it's so sad, Dr. Stinson, that a lot of our youth, they're not able to talk to their parents. Talk to your parents. Parents got to make it so where my daughter can come to me. I want to know what's going on. And if your child said, Johnny did this to me, don't say, no, he didn't. Listen. Hear.
But most of our parents, let's be honest, are very young.
Right.
Babies are having babies. In my church, I have
babies having babies. So recognizing abuse is something that, and again, we talked about love. Our 11, 12, and 13-year-olds are acting out of frustration. They're having sex this early, and we need to be paying attention to it.
Exactly.
Because there's been some type of rejection, either from mama or from daddy or from somebody, which leads them to an 11-year-old or 12-year-old being pregnant and having babies because they too are looking for love.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
And so we talk about through pain to purpose, but it's still happening today. In fact, it has become an epidemic in our schools.
Right.
Well, now we have schools that are for
pregnant teens.
Yes.
In my days, we didn't have
We
that.
didn't have that.
Okay, so
No.
you talk about
Your children
Right.
and their fathers are in here.
Right.
How painful was it for you to sit down and say, "I've got to tell this story"? and
Oh,
for what purpose?
it was painful, but it was more shameful. You know, because even though he wasn't in the home and this was their dad, I didn't want to
Was he living at the time you had?
Oh, he's still living.
Okay.
You know about the book, everything.
Okay.
He talked to me about the book. But I wanted them, but one of my daughters, I'm going to tell you this, one of my daughters told me, she said, "Mommy, I know you had to tell what you went through." And I told her, I said, "I did not tell what I went through to make your daddy look bad. I told what I went through so I could help somebody else." Because we don't realize how big sexual abuse is.
Right.
We don't realize, and I have a relative a young girl that has saw her mother being abused all her life, beat, stoned, kicked, pit bull bit her. I mean, just all. She told me one time. She said sometimes it just be blood everywhere. So what happened? This young girl, 10 years old, she cut her sister's tongue. That's one thing. She took the scissors and stuck it into her brother's ear. And so I told the mother, I say she's smart, but the teachers can't do anything with her in school. And I told my relative, I said, that's because that's all that child knows, and you can't take them and get counseling and put them back in the same environment. You got to change that environment. If you've been abused and you know you've been abused, you take your baby and get counseling and you bring them right back. They're going to abuse. That's why they say most hurt people, they end up hurting people. It's just a repeat of what they have gone through. And so we got to get it out here. We got to tell it everywhere we go. We got to talk about it. We say we want to help our youth. We got to get out there where they are. We got to let them know that we're available to you want to talk. Every school I go to, I leave my card, I give them a book. I give them a book. Sometimes I give almost 20 books at each school, each semester. And I give them my card. I've had some to call me. I've had some to come to church with. We got to make ourselves available because everybody not going to come to the church. So you know what? Jesus said, we're the church, we're the light, we're the city that sits on them. We got to go where they are.
Yeah, we have to recognize
We
that.
got to go out there.
Everybody's not going to
That's
come to
right.
the church. Which is, in my ministry, which I work with the homeless and I work with, everybody's not coming to the church.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Okay, we have to recognize that.
Exactly.
And it don't mean that they didn't want to sell it. They're just not coming to the church.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have to find another way to reach
take
them.
it where they are.
And to take them, to let them know that God still is
Exactly.
good. That God still is love.
He's still love.
He's still love.
Right.
So you say in this chapter here, the search for stability. When did you get stable? When did you feel stability in your life? At what age or at what season in your life? And was it after the second marriage? You've been married, what, 20, 30 years now?
Gonna be 23 in July. It was after the first marriage. I was in my 30s. I got in a relationship with the Lord, and that was when He found me. I found myself. I found out where I was that sad wife, sad child, mad with God. Why was I ever born? All of everything you could ever know. When I got in a relationship and started talking with God and working in the church and working in, now I want to tell you, I was working in ministry all the time. I was still working in ministry. But when I got to the place to realize that because He loved me, and I'm somebody, Dr. Stinson, in God.
We got 2 minutes. I cannot believe we haven't even read half of this book.
But could you please talk into the camera and tell them where to purchase this book? And again, Renee, entrepreneur, how to get in touch with you and everything so that they can reach out to you.
Okay. Once again, you can get my book entitled Through Pain to Purpose. I'm holding it up. You can get my book off Amazon.com as an ebook and in paperback, and you can also order it from my website at ReneeRWilliams.com. You can also go to my email address, born to praise with a Z at yahoo.com. And I just want to encourage you to just know that your beginning, it does not have to be your ending, and you can take, and in this life, you're gonna have all types of pain. But I want you to know that even in going through your pain, there is a purpose for your life.
I want to thank you for tuning in. I am going to recommend this book to anyone out there that feels that they have been abused, even if it's years old, to get the book. I am so happy to have been able to meet Renee Williams, author, an entrepreneur, teacher, preacher, just everything, and have to just to encounter her in this lifetime. She's a wonderful woman of God. I would ask you to go to her website and all of Amazon. 3,000 already sold since last year. You need this book. This is Apostle Dr. Sonia Stinson, a Woman on the Front Line International Fellowship. I am so happy to have been your host for these 2 segments and featuring Renee Williams. Get the book. God bless you, and I will see you next time.